Welcome to another edition of The Roots, presented and powered by NoFo Brewing. John Nelson here with you, and this go-round of The Roots, we're going to look at the postseason in MLS NEXT PRO and catch up with a couple of coaches and find out what it's like for their particular franchises to make it into the postseason in the Eastern Conference. And we'll go through the schedule for you and lay out the matchups and let you know what's going on in MLS NEXT PRO. In a couple of southeastern cities, it's going to be a fun Sunday, and we catch up with them right here. We catch up with Chattanooga FC head coach Chris Nugent, find out what it's going to be like for them and their matchup going up against Huntsville City Football Club, where it is, in fact, blood feud in the Eastern Conference in the 4-5. And then we go to the Triad, Greensboro, High Point, Winston-Salem. Catch up with Carolina Corps head coach Donovan Ricketts and find out what it's like for them to make it in on the final day and what it's like for them as they get ready as the 8th seed to take on New York Red Bulls 2 and Michael Bradley. So that is the rundown for the Roots this week. After those interviews, we'll go through the matchups east and west to let you know what's going on in MLS NEXT PRO as the work through the Roots continue here in soccer in the United States. So without further ado, it is time to catch up with our coaches and find out what is going on as these coaches get ready for the postseason in MLS NEXT PRO. So first and foremost, it is a conversation with Donovan Ricketts, and we find out what it's like for that 8th seed to make it in to the postseason as we had the conversation on SDH AM. Time to turn the page, and we're going to talk about everything playoffs in MLS NEXT PRO. We start that discussion by catching up with somebody who's in the playoffs for the first time, franchise in the playoffs for the first time. And for this, we go and catch up with things in High Point. Greensboro, High Point, Winston-Salem is the TV market. Truist Point is one of the nastiest places to play, and we bring in Donovan Ricketts, the head coach of Carolina Corps. Coach, thanks for dropping by on a busy week of busy weeks.
Thanks for having me.
Well, all right. So let me go back to decision day for you in MLS NEXT PRO. With who was your designated scoreboard standings watcher type person this entire time? Did you want to know? Did you know who was there passing notes in class? What was decision day like for you?
Well, because we started the day with we had our own destiny in our hands. The other teams didn't matter much, but once the scoreline went against us, we started to watch the score, not during the game, but after the game. Because
come on, you know you were watching during the game.
No. During the game, we weren't watching it because I was already disappointed with what I was seeing on the field. So I didn't want any more bad news off the field. So we didn't have a designated score watcher.
Oh, come on. You seriously, no one was passing notes in class or anything?
No, not to me because I didn't want to know. So not to me.
All right. So then your match is over.
Yeah.
Your match is over and someone else is doing math and you allegedly don't want to know anything, and then you start to know things. How long after your match was over did everything lay out for you, and did you sit there and it's like, oh, we're in the postseason? What was that lag time like?
All right. When the game was done, we went to the locker room, and the Atlanta game was still going on, which was the game that would decide if we were in or if we got knocked out. So we had a chance to go in and see the PK. So that's when I was glued to the TV when the PKs were going on. So from the field to the locker room, it was just disappointment because I thought we were out at that point because I didn't know the scores or anything. So I thought we were out because we didn't win. Went to the locker room. I heard it was PK's time in the Atlanta game. Now I said, oh, that means we're tied on points. If they get that extra point, we're out. So that's the time I got glued to the screens and I started to watch the PKs.
Yes, and then you notice what happened in the PKs. We were calling the match on our network up at Fort Finley. We got the end result. You are now in.
Yes.
So then you're in, and because it's not cut and dried, what MLS NEXT PRO likes to do is they want everybody to show up on the dance floor. And basically it's like Sadie Hawkins. It's like, you go to the Sadie Hawkins dance in high school and your dance partner, the guy in the middle of the floor goes there, and you pick your dance partner this way. What do you think about that format where MLS NEXT PRO is trying to be a little different and sit there and you might get the 1-8, you might get passed over in the first round. What do you think about that particular playoff choosing format where it's not just cut and dried like it always is?
I think when they sat in the room and thought about it, this is an exciting concept, but for coaches, if you go against the order, say for instance I'm number 1 seed and I go pick number 6, I pick anything other, and you get upset. Now you sit there with egg on your face. So for them, it's an exciting concept. If you say, for instance, Crown Legacy was in and we were in, and then Crown Legacy said we want to play the core. No, that would be the excitement and everything that they want to see. But for coaches, I don't think any coach would want egg on his face that I am first seed and I pick the 5th seed or the 6th seed, and then I get beat in the first round and then I look like an idiot.
So you end up with the pick a dance partner, and it's the 1 and the 8. Traditional way that it ends up even with pick a partner, it ends up with the 1 and the 8. And it's now you guys going up against Red Bulls in the opening round of the playoffs. Michael Bradley now a part of the discussion on the touchline for Red Bulls too. What has study hall been like getting ready for the opening round of the playoffs for you, getting ready for Red Bulls?
No, it's better this way, because now you're just gearing up for one game. There's no game after this. You're not thinking about the game after this. You're just thinking about one game. So now you start to study everything about your opponents. And I think we got a glimpse of what it might be like, because we played against Red Bull for his first game in charge of the Red Bull. So we played against him then, and we saw what the style was like. It was a quick go, quick, fast-paced game. Young players just trying to run and gun. So for us, it's just preparing in that aspect for the game.
And Red Bulls, they're a bit of an odd duck. I mean, literally, it is. They don't want the ball. They don't want possession. It's like balls got. Pick your least favorite food, and they just kind of spread it all over the ball. And it's like, we don't want it. You can have it. And you're forced to do all the work. How much of a challenge is that when you're going up against a Red Bulls team that basically they want you to do all the work, but they're going to come after you. They're going to do the Red Bulls press. They're going to try to pin you in corners to go quick turnover, short field, be clinical, and score. How much of a different challenge is that for you in MLS Next Pro?
No, it's a challenge, because we want the ball. We want to keep possession of the ball. We want to play 2/3, but you're playing against a team that wants you to have the ball. They're built on you having the ball. They're built on pressing you when you have the ball. So it's a bit of a challenge to prepare for them, because they're just waiting for that one mistake in that area where they want to pounce, and then they get you. So it's going to be a game where we have to manage what we do in certain areas of the field.
How do you prepare for that during the week? How do you manufacture what that's going to look like? When I know that your guys, they want to play a certain way, but when you're in practice setup, how do you mirror what Red Bull wants to do with your guys who are wired to play differently?
So we shortened everything we did. It was like in a tighter space. So now within that tighter space, people are coming at you real quicker. So now your decision making on the ball has to be much quicker. So that's the best way we can prepare, because I don't think we have the players that they have to just keep on running. So we have to shorten the space and make sure every action is quicker. Decisions are even faster.
Your offense this year, obviously, one of the focal points is when we're covering the league, everybody's drawn to Facundo Canete, who has led you with 9. You end up with Glory, who gave you 8, 15 different goal scorers, I think, this year. What's it like to have that kind of input from a bunch of different places to get you into the postseason here in 25?
No, it's good, because for us, it shows that we can score in multiple ways with different people, and teams can't just identify one person, lock one person down, and then they said if you stop them, you stop their goals. So for us, that's a wonderful thing, and that's what we always wanted. The style that we play, goals should be coming from multiple people. So it shows that the style does work, and it's working.
And what have you learned? What have you learned about yourself as a coach? It's all right. Since you opened that door with that response, sir, what have you learned about yourself as a coach? Because I know you have when you were playing, you had that self-imposed expectation level of how you want things to be. How different or difficult a transition was it for you to be, instead of the guy who's out there, to be the guy who's telling folks to go out there and do things? What have you learned about yourself now as a coach coming from the playing side?
I learned that I'm not as patient as I thought I was.
Okay.
Because when as a player, you only have one person to think about, and that's yourself. You prepare for the game in the way you want to prepare for the game, because you're just thinking, if I do my job, I'm all right. No, as a coach, I have to think about every single player on the field, every single player on the field, and the ones not on the field as well. So it's a lot of different thinking. Sometimes it's sleepless nights trying to control things that I can't control. So and when we do step on the field, no, you prepare, you train for the entire week, and you have a plan, and when it's not going your way, then that's the time when the frustration sets in, or you see that the lack of patience steps in. So I learned that I'm not as patient as I thought I was.
I have this vision in my head where I know that how you and the staff want to do something philosophically, then it doesn't happen. I just have this vision of you on the touchline at Truist Point, basically hopping up and down and sitting there and just kind of, jumping, testing your vertical after all. Like, but when everything comes together, you mentioned how you might not be as patient, but when it does come together, and you see the results that are there at core with an independent organization that's not tied to a Major League Soccer franchise, and you're bringing in older players and all of these different pieces that come together, what's it like to see all of that come together to where you end up getting into the postseason for here in 25?
No, it's a wonderful feeling, especially this being the second year of existence for the club, and to make everything pull together and work in the way which it does, or it did. It's a wonderful feeling. It feels like we're moving in the right direction, and we're doing the right things, whether from the front office point of view or from the field on the technical side point of view. It makes it feel like it's a work well done, and still more work to be done, a job in progress. So it's a good feeling overall.
When you knew you were in the postseason, how long was it before your phone started blowing up and everybody was like, congratulations, can't believe it. Now you got to figure out who you're playing. What was it? How long did it take for your phone to blow up?
After the PKs. It was after the PKs.
Okay, after the PKs. Okay.
It was right after the PKs. The congratulations started to come in, but I wasn't in the congratulatory mood because of the performance that we had for the last game, but what could have been our last game of the season. But I think once the season is done and over, but you're gonna look back and now you're gonna feel accomplished. But right now, it just feels like it's still a job ongoing.
Yep, and when you're going up against a team like Red Bulls that comes at you from all these different ways, you're the one that's got to do all the legwork. You got to get all the travel plans squared away. Do you know what your travel plans are? Have you talked to our buddy Aiden Trusty about the private jet? Make sure that Aiden's got the private jet squared away for you so everybody can make their way up. Did he get the 747 for you from High Point to get to Newark?
Yes, the private jet is there, but unfortunately, we won't be going on it. Yeah, but the travel is already taken care of. Everything is already sorted. Our flight time, when we land, when we train, when we get there, everything is already sorted, and we're just preparing on the field. We allow them to do that side, and we just prepare on the field.
How do you make sure that everybody's at 100%, considering it's time in airports, it's time in vans? Now, do you get to fly directly from Greensboro to Newark, or okay?
No. We leave from Charlotte.
Okay, so you're going. Okay, so from core headquarters to Charlotte to Newark. So so that's time in a bus or a van. That's time to Charlotte in a van or a bus. Then you're flying to Newark. Everybody's got to get everything wrangled together. Then are you flying in Saturday to get
Saturday morning? Yes.
Okay, so you fly in Saturday to get acclimated, and so I imagine that is every player flying with one of those big styrofoam rollers for the hotel room to make sure that they don't end up as a pretzel when they deplane or anything like that?
No, no. I think the trainer, he packs all those stuff, and once we get there, it's accessible to the players.
Okay, because I know that because of time in a van, time in a plane, time in a
Yeah.
hotel, time in a van, you don't want anybody to have any muscles that complain when you're going over to Montclair, because that's why I was asking about all of these moving parts to make sure that everybody's at 100%. So everything's going to be squared away for this travel to Montclair. You're in good
Yeah,
shape.
everything's cleared away, and the beauty of this is we've been doing this kind of travel all season. So there's nothing new. We just look at it as we've been doing this for what? 14 games on the road to prepare for this game on the road. So nothing is new. The travel time, whatever, it's all the same. So it's just the mental aspect now to prepare and get ready for the game. There are no excuses.
Sunday night, 7:03 on MLS Season Pass. Red Bulls 2 and Carolina Core from Montclair State University Soccer Park. Just make sure that no one hits it into the trees and that you lose a soccer ball if somebody does anything wayward. Thank you for coming in on one of the busiest weeks of the year and one of the most important weeks of the year for Carolina Core. Congratulations on in the second season making it to the third season, the postseason here for Core. Job well done. We're going to be keeping an eye on you. And you realize, of course, that if you end up with a result in Montclair and you're still going, this means you're going to have to come back.
Hey, and I won't mind coming back because I remember I was here preseason and we talked and we said we wanted to be here for the playoffs, and here we are for the playoffs. So if I see you again, that means we're doing something right.
Check. Donovan Ricketts, head coach Carolina Core. Congrats on the postseason berth. We're looking forward to seeing what's going on with you traveling up to Montclair to take on Red Bulls too. Thanks for hopping on the morning show, Coach. We'll be catching up with you soon, my friend.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
There goes Donovan Ricketts, head coach at Carolina Core, and they are in the postseason. So let's get you into MLS Next Pro and the grid for the weekend. All of the games are happening all at once and on one day. It's not like simultaneous playoffs or anything like that, like it was for Decision Day. So here's the rundown of the postseason. And it starts off in Commerce City, Colorado. So it's a very, very busy time for the Rapids. 4 o'clock Sunday afternoon. Rapids and Whitecaps 2. Also at 4 o'clock, it is Union 2 hosting FC Cincinnati 2 at Subaru Park. 6 o'clock at Gillette, Revs 2 hosting Chicago Fire 2. The Revs at home are hopefully looking to score 5 on the Fire like happened most of last month. 7 o'clock Eastern Time, St. Louis City 2, All Caps 2, top seed in the Western Conference. They take on Ventura County at Energizer Park, so it'll be just all of the All Caps colors. Then we mentioned Red Bulls 2, Carolina Core, 7 o'clock. Those are all on MLS Season Pass. MLSNextPro.com at 7 o'clock. Tomorrow, reminder, we catch up with Chris Nugent from Chattanooga FC, and that is going to be at 9:30. I think we're catching him either coming out of practice, going into the next thing, or catching him out of an event heading into practice. So we get Chris Nugent parachuting in 9:30 tomorrow morning to look at Chattanooga FC and Huntsville City Football Club. The 4 and the 5 in the East. Blood feud opening round at Fort Finley. MLSNextPro.com for that matchup with Chattanooga FC and with Huntsville City Football Club. If you don't have anything going on Sunday, line up and watch that one because that's going to be a hot crowd at Fort Finley, and I would anticipate a lot of folks traveling from Huntsville to go see what's going on in Chattanooga for the first postseason berth for HCFC. And then not to be outdone, I think Chris Nugent, safe to say, is probably one of the busiest men in MLS Next Pro. And to give you the example of this, and I think the statute of limitations is gone, but when we were scheduling the interview with Chattanooga FC and Hayes Creech to where we could catch up with Chris in a match week, literally it was like, okay, it's between two events on this day, and you've got him for 10 minutes. And I said, cool, let's do it. And we ended up smashing this interview in on a day of SDH AM where we were fitting it in between guests and segments, and everything was going to be just crammed into this one particular spot. But when it comes to the postseason and when coaches only have 10 minutes, we will take that 10 minutes gladly to find out about what's going on in these environments and find out what it's like for these coaches to prep for the postseason. So here is a very quick 10 minutes from SDH AM where we caught up with Chris Nugent, the head coach of Chattanooga FC, as they got ready for Huntsville City Football Club. Chris Nugent coming up here in just a sec to talk about CFC, Chattanooga FC, as they get ready for their playoff game against Huntsville City Football Club at Fort Finley in round number 1 of the MLS Next Pro playoffs, 4 versus 5 in the Eastern Conference. And it's going to be, look, we know that there are rivals for Atlanta United 2 in MLS Next Pro. And the answer to that is choice D, all of the above, when you're looking at this matchup of the 4 and the 5 in the Eastern Conference with Huntsville City and with Chattanooga FC. And so we're going to get the lowdown on everything going on up there in Chattanooga. They are at Seton, and Chris is working on his hair. So we're going to give him another 15 seconds or so just to make sure that everything's fine. All right, let's go to Chattanooga, find out what's going on. Let's see how caffeinated the gentleman is on a very, very busy day. We get to borrow him for about 10 minutes. How's the hair, Chris?
Hair and makeup didn't show up this morning, so you've got what you've got. Hopefully you've got a filter or some AI that can help out.
Yeah, and it's helping me out too. Trust me, brother. I know exactly what you're talking about. What has the week been like getting ready for Blood Feud, 4 versus 5, Chattanooga and Huntsville City?
Similar to any other week. It's preparation. We always prepare for the team on the weekend. We try and get a little bit better at what we feel we're good at, and then areas we can exploit them. So, yeah, the only difference is just that the time of the day, instead of it starting on a Monday, it starts on a Tuesday, and we play on a Sunday instead of a Saturday. So very similar. The guys are all excited and kind of zoned in as well. They know how important the game is. But I think one of the positives is the guys is they've been that dialed in for every game throughout the season. They've never wanted to take a game off or this doesn't mean anything. It's always tough games. So that mentality has gone through. And then obviously the other side of it went on quite a good run for the last few weeks. So that there's a positive on that also.
What sticks out in your mind from the times that the two of you have met on the field this year? What are some of your mental notes that have stuck with you from the 25 season with Huntsville City?
Obviously, they're a very good team. I think they're one of the strongest teams in the league. I think the 5th seed isn't probably an accurate ranking in my book, I guess. I know I didn't get to play everybody as many times. I think they're very good technically on the ball. They like to have the ball a lot. They move it quickly. They want to have possession. So the way they build their defense and the way they attack is orientated around that. A very high level of players as well. So it's been, all three have been tough games. I would say they're enjoyable games after, maybe not during. You get too focused, you don't get to really enjoy it. But I think once you watch back, it's some two high level teams trying to do different things to beat each other.
You mentioned how the 5 seed really isn't a 5 seed. You played back in March. It was a 1-0 win at Fort Finley. And I'm going to shuttle quickly while you're becoming caffeinated here. It was a 2-1 win for Chattanooga at Wicks Family Field, Joe Davis Stadium in late May. And then scrolling down once again, nothing like having a finger that doesn't want to work quickly. Then it was, what was the third one?
It was 1-0 at Finley as well. Yeah.
There we go. Okay. So those obviously low scoring games, I think that's predicated to your defense and shows a lot about your defense in these moments. They've been high-powered offensively. You look at folks like Alan Carlton who've been lighting up the score sheet. They can come at you from a bunch of different ways. How do you try and keep an eye on all those different folks that can put it in the back of the net for Huntsville and still being true to yourself defensively where you're not getting locked up in a 2v1 where, okay, positional gravity, you go gravitate that way. That means somebody's open. How do you stay within yourself knowing they have all of these weapons?
I mean, that's pretty standard for the league. Everyone's got very good players all over. So, and especially that's football these days now. You can't get away with leaving players too far free. So it doesn't really change. Obviously, you make some adjustments based on the individual qualities of those players, what certain guys like to do. All players are different. So Huntsville have got certain guys that like to do certain things. So you prepare for that. And then they've got other players who like to do other things. So I think it's being prepared for those individual qualities while sticking to our team principles of what we're trying to do. We know that they can score goals. We've seen that all season. They're very difficult to score against as well. They've got a great defensive record. So just trying to identify some of those areas where maybe we can get an advantage on our defensive side and then on the attacking side, and that allows us to get a goal.
Dave Johnson, Joyce, the voice of DC United, going to be hanging out with us in about 5 minutes. Looking forward to that and catching up with him. You mentioned MLS Next Pro on the whole in the Eastern Conference. How tough is that Eastern Conference? What was it like for you to navigate all of this madness and get to the other side? How tough was it? You mentioned the five's not a typical five. How was it in the Eastern Conference this year with everyone being as competitive as they are?
Yeah, it was very tough. I think it's a solid league conference all the way throughout. We got a bit more experience with the South Conference, obviously, by playing everybody 3 times. The level of players is high. The level of coaching is high. There's no easy games. There's not one game this year where we felt we could, take our foot off the gas, or we could make it a little bit of an easier game. So it was always every team can hurt you. There's individual quality, going up and down from the academy, and then up and down from the first team as well. So you always had to be switched on, which is the same as playoffs. And you always have to be prepared for high-level players to hurt you. And I think we've shown we fit into that as well. We can be, while maybe we don't have the movement up and down from an academy and a first team, our players can execute under pressure, and they can execute in those important moments and come up with big plays, whether it's in goal or on the front line or whether it's set piece. We can be quite effective and dangerous there.
What have you learned about yourself as a coach this season, knowing that the Eastern Conference is what it is in MLS Next Pro? Because I think that you learn a lot about yourself either in situations where there's distance between you and everybody else, or when everything is all crunched together like this. What did you learn about yourself and your staff this season?
I would say, I've been coaching 22 years now, so it's not like a complete surprise. I think you just continue on that steady curve of going up. I think once the season's over and I've got a little bit of time to reflect, I could probably figure out a bit more of what I've learned. I know that I have to be flexible and adaptable. I come into the season wanting to play a certain way with certain players, and things didn't work out for whatever reason. And then as games change, one of our aims here is obviously to be successful, try and make playoffs, home game, win, go as far as we can. So those behaviors of when you adjust, of how you can still stick to your principles of who you are and who we are, but then trying to implement them to help the guys succeed. So I think that's probably, I wouldn't say learned. I just got better at maybe becoming a bit more flexible and a bit more adaptable in those moments.
What do you think about? And I know I think I know what your answer is going to be, but I'm going to go ahead and ask it anyway. And it's probably $1 in the jar for me for doing this. What do you think about pick your dance partner for the playoff picture in MLS Next Pro instead of it being the typical 1-8? And I know it didn't affect it this year because it's the 4 and the 5. But what do you think about pick your dance partner, where it's, hey, I want to pick this guy instead? Almost like you're Sadie Hawkins or something like that with the dance in high school.
I don't know who Sadie Hawkins is.
Basically, it's the person. It's where the girl got to pick the boy to dance.
Okay.
Yeah,
I wasn't going to pick that either. So I quite like it. I think in a league like this where it's not quite balanced, like I said, we've played the Southeast teams 3 times. We've only played some of the Northeast teams once, sometimes twice. So I don't feel that the table always accurately represents where you are in a kind of standard league where it's home and away. It's a little bit more balanced and you can see it. So I think here it's quite good. Like I said, some teams maybe aren't the position they finish if you were to play everybody once. So I think it's quite good. You can maybe pick your matchups. I know it didn't work out this season, but it has in the past. So I think in those leagues where like a World Cup format or a Champions League format or a Next Pro format, it does bring some excitement, I think, for the fans. It does help you maybe pick what you feel a path can be for it. So it's good and bad. I think sometimes the old-fashioned part of me would like to just say 1 plays 8 and do it that way. But like football's evolving, the world evolves, so why not embrace it?
All right. So how do you keep folks like us and the noise from folks like us away from the players so they can focus on what's going on? Or do you just sit there and go, yeah, I know folks are going to be asking questions of me and my players all week long? How do you help tune out the noise and get focused for a matchup like that?
It's just part of it. I think at this level for the guys as well, you get the good and the bad on social media. I think it's really cool to have people like you interested in talking to us. That's a huge factor for players. If you look at the highest levels where we all want to be, they are getting this nonstop every day. I was chatting with Hayes before, this is a slow week probably for someone in the Premier League. So you learn to deal with the noise that's good. I think you're never really as good as everyone says you are. You're never as bad as everyone says you are, and you're somewhere in the middle. So I think that's just part of it. And for guys to get to this level, they've done it through the academies, they've done it through college, they've done it through other pro teams. So it's just part of it. So I think you're being professional, focusing on the task at hand, and enjoying the moment. I would say that all throughout the year. Enjoy the build-up, enjoy the travel, enjoy all the stuff we're doing, because we know it doesn't last forever in this game. So enjoy it, embrace it, and how you can help use it to push you to the next level.
We are out before 9:40, as promised. 9 minutes and something change. Chris, thanks for dropping by in a very, very busy week. We'll keep an eye on Blood Feud this weekend in the 4 and the 5 in the Eastern Conference, MLS Next Pro. Don't be a stranger. We'll catch up soon.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Good chatting again. Bye.
All right. So that's 2 of the 8 coaches in the Eastern Conference. But now let's break down the rest of the playoff structure in MLS Next Pro. And remember, this is Pick Your Dance Partner. And this is one of the things that makes MLS Next Pro very, very unique. And I don't have the information in front of me, but there have been times in the opening rounds where the top seeds have fallen after picking their dance partner and thinking that they were going to have an easy run through into round number 2, and that has not been the case. And so let's go over the matchups themselves, let you know what's going on in the postseason as it kicks off here in MLS Next Pro. So pick your opponent. 16 clubs and 11 former MLS players are a part of all the pick your opponent madness that was here in MLS Next Pro. So it is the Eastern Conference quarterfinals. It is Red Bulls 2, Carolina Core, the 1 and the 8, upper right-hand corner. The 2 and the 7, Philadelphia Union 2, FC Cincinnati 2. That one is the matchup below that. Then you end up with Revs and Chicago Fire, and that is the 3 and the 6, which gave you the 4 and the 5 in Chattanooga FC and Huntsville City Football Club. So the East was chalk. East was chalk when it came to the matchups in that half of the bracket. Left-hand side of the bracket, Western Conference, Colorado Rapids 2 and Vancouver Whitecaps. The 3 and the 7, they get the early start. We'll go over start times in a sec. St. Louis City 2, the number 1. Pick Ventura County, the number 8, which meant the Town was next. They went kind of off the board a little bit, and they went to the 6 in North Texas. So 1-8 to 6, which meant Colorado could choose the 7 or the 5, and they chose the 7. So Colorado Rapids 2 takes on Vancouver Whitecaps 2 at Dick's Sporting Goods Park. And then Real Monarchs, the 4, were left with the 5 in a roundabout way. And so Real Monarchs hosting Loons 2 at Zions Bank Stadium in Harriman, Utah. And so your former MLS players that represented their clubs on the call that chose pick your dance partner. Donovan Ricketts, Jeremy Hall for Loons 2, Richie Williams with Revs 2, Ryan Richter with Union 2, Ricardo Clark with Whitecaps 2, Matt Taylor, Ventura County. Executives, Big Red, Jeff Lorenovitz, who's with FC Cincinnati 2, Liam Doyle with Huntsville City, Tiger Fitzpatrick, Red Bulls 2, Tony Beltran with Real Monarchs, and John Wolonek from the Town. So let's get you into the times and the matchups and the locations in each of these halves of the bracket. Eastern Conference, Sunday, Subaru Park at 4 o'clock. That's when Union 2 take on FC Cincinnati 2, your 2-7. That's followed by the Revs and the Fire at Gillette at 6 o'clock Eastern Time, your 3 and your 6. The 1-8 at Montclair is at 7 o'clock between Red Bulls 2 and Core, and then Fort Finley, the big matchup here in the Southeast. Chattanooga FC as your 4, hosting Huntsville City FC, the 5, Finley Stadium, 7 o'clock Sunday night on MLSNextPro.com. Now, Western Conference, Rapids 2, Whitecaps 2, the 3-7. That's at Dick's Sporting Goods Park at 4 o'clock. City 2, Ventura County FC at Energizer Park. So it's going to be just pink all over the place at 7 o'clock Eastern Time on Sunday. Real Monarchs and Loons 2, the 4-5, is at 8 o'clock. Zions Bank Stadium in Harriman, Utah, on MLSNextPro.com. The Town, the 2 seed, taking on North Texas at PayPal Park at 9 o'clock. That is on Apple TV and MLS Season Pass. If I did not say that a matchup was on MLS Season Pass, that's where it is. If a matchup is on MLSNextPro.com, that was how I ended up identifying it in the breakdown. All Caps 2 and Philadelphia Union 2, the only teams to appear in every MLS Next Pro postseason since the league launched in 2022. 5 clubs making their pro playoff debuts in 25. Independent clubs, Chattanooga FC and Carolina Core. MLS affiliates Huntsville City Football Club, Loons 2, and Real Monarchs. On the weekend of October 24, Your dance partner gets picked again for the conference semifinals, highest remaining seeds in each conference, selecting opponents to lowest seeds. You go from there. Conference finals, MLS Next Pro Cup on the weekend of Halloween and November 7. You get your traditional bracket style as the number 1 overall seed and best regular season record. St. Louis City 2 is guaranteed home field throughout the playoffs. And so that is your rundown of the playoff structure in MLS Next Pro here in 2025. And obviously, as we go, we'll be catching up with coaches and let you know what's going on as they go further and further into their playoff grid. Best 11 and your individual awards for MLS Next Pro this season. It was the Pathway Player of the Year award, first time. Osaze de Rosario, the inaugural winner for his standout performance for both Tacoma Defiance and Seattle Sounders. Neil Pierre, named Defender of the Year, Philadelphia Union 2, second fewest goals in the lead. Eldin Jakupovic earned Goalkeeper of the Year honors, first MLS Next Pro playoff appearance, and the 18,000 shutouts that he had this season. MLS Next Pro also honoring Match Officials of the Year for excellence in officiating as well. Pathway Player, Defender, Keeper of the Year, Best 11, voted on by head coaches and chief soccer officers, as well as league broadcasters and content match officials, determined by the club, coaching staff, and assignments. We mentioned Osaze de Rosario, we mentioned Neil Pierre, and we mentioned Eldin Jakupovic. 10 clean sheets for Jakupovic on the season, 124 saves, led the league in minutes played. Translation, all of them, 2,520 minutes. MLS Next Pro Best 11, your keeper, Jakupovic, no surprise. Honorable mention, Pedro Cruz of Houston Dynamo 2, Dynamo Dos. 3 defenders, Gabriel McKenna from St. Louis City 2, Neil Pierre, and Tate Robertson from Chattanooga FC. Honorable mention, Jordan Knight from Hunt City, Harbor Miller from Ventura County. Midfielders, 4. Nahuen Benedetti from Red Bulls 2. Alan Carlton makes Best 11 from Huntsville City. Marcus Diaz from Revs 2. Cruz Medina from the Town. Honorable mention goes to Miguel Perez from All Caps 2. And your forwards, Makai Joyner, no surprise, from St. Louis City 2. Sam Sarvert, no surprise, from North Texas. Jason Shukuluk, your Golden Boot winner from Chicago Fire 2. Honorable mention goes to Yu Sukanome from Tacoma Defiance. Match officials of the year, referee Colin Radosov, AR Adam Cook, and your fourth official is Eric Burton. Following the conclusion of the regular season, it was Golden Boot to Jason Shukuluk for 20 goals on the year, and Marcus Diaz for the Revs 2, earning the league's inaugural Playmaker of the Year award for a pro record 13 assists on the season. So George Marks also gets Save of the Year for his 2025 quadruple save, and Patrick Weah gets Goal of the Year for his scorpion kick at Truist Point against Carolina Core. That's your rundown of everything in the Roots, powered by our friends at NoFo Brewing, and your rundown of the playoffs in MLS Next Pro and finding out what it's going to be like here in the Southeastern footprint. Mucha Platiel, play it safe, enjoy the playoffs. We will catch up with you next week.